familiar scenario. A blue Amazon van pulls up to your driveway. You see the box with the smiling arrow on the porch. In that moment, your brain explodes with pleasure. Your pulse quickens, your mood skyrockets. You bring it inside, slice through the tape, pull the item out, and that's it. The magic vanishes. Exactly the second the item is in your hands, the high disappears. You don't feel joy, you feel emptiness, or worse, guilt over the $200 you just spent. This phenomenon is called buyer's remorse. But from a neurobiological perspective, it's not remorse. It is a reward prediction error. As an investment banker, I'm used to looking at numbers, and the numbers are terrifying. The average American spends $18,000 a year on non-essential items. That is $18,000 that didn't go into the S&P 500, didn't go toward paying off the mortgage, and isn't working for your future. We think shopping addiction is a discipline problem, that we are just weak. But that is a lie. The truth is, you are in a state of war. Playing against you are the world's best neurobiologists, hired by Target, Walmart, and Amazon. Their goal is simple. Hack your brain so you hit checkout before you have time to think. They know the secret we will uncover today. You are not paying for the item. You are paying for the dopamine spike from the anticipation of that item. Today, we will dismantle the mechanics of this robbery. I will show you how your own head makes you poor, and I'll give you the only tool that actually works to stop it. But to understand how this trap works, we need to stop thinking like a 21st century consumer. We need to start thinking like a surviving species, because the root of your credit card debt doesn't lie in the shopping mall. It lies in deep prehistory. Let's look at a chart that explains everything, but this isn't a chart of Apple stock or the Dow Jones. This is the chart of human history. For 99.9% of our existence as a species, we lived in a world of absolute total scarcity. Imagine the situation 50,000 years ago. You are walking through the savannah. You haven't eaten in 3 days. Suddenly, you see a bush with berries, or a hive with honey. What do? You don't take just a little to snack on. You don't think, I'll save half for next week so I don't overeat. No, you eat everything, every single calorie, or you take as much as you can carry. Why? Because in that world, there were no refrigerators. There were no guarantees you'd find food tomorrow. Finding a resource and not using it meant death. Hoarding was synonymous with survival. Our ancestors who saved or said, I have enough, simply died out. Their genes were not passed down to us. We are the descendants of the greediest, most anxious, and most hoarding people of the Paleolithic era. Nature created the perfect software for survival in conditions of lack. Your brain is a machine designed to scan horizons for resources. But then, something happened that evolution did not prepare us for. In a blink of an eye, historically speaking, we moved from the savannah to the center of Manhattan, or into the electronics aisle at Best Buy. We created a world of infinite abundance. Calories are cheap and available 24/7. Stuff costs pennies. Credit is available at the snap of a fingers. The environment changed radically, but our hardware, our brain, remained the same. Version 1.0. And this is where the short circuit happens. When you walk through a mall and see a red "Sale 50% sign, your ancient limbic brain doesn't see a discount on an unnecessary toaster. It sees a fat mammoth that is easy to catch. It sends an alarm signal. Resource, cheap. Take it now or someone else will take it tomorrow. This isn't greed. This is the instinct of self-preservation gone mad. Your brain thinks you are still in the savannah and famine is coming tomorrow. But you are standing in the middle of a Costco packed to the ceiling with goods. Famine is not threatening you. The only thing threatening you is a credit card bill with 25% APR. Scientists call this an evolutionary mismatch. It's like running a program designed for forest survival on a computer that controls a nuclear reactor. The result is catastrophic. That is exactly why you buy bulk packs of food that spoil before you can eat them. Why your closet is stuffed with clothes that still have tags on them. Your inner caveman only calms down when the cave is full of stuff. He doesn't care about your bank balance. He only cares about feeling safe through possession. But if evolution loaded this gun, who is pulling the trigger? Let's destroy the biggest myth of pop psychology. If you ask a passerby in Times Square what dopamine is, they'll answer, it's the happiness molecule. It's what I feel when I eat a tasty burger or win the lottery. This is complete nonsense. Neurobiologists have known the truth for decades. Dopamine has almost nothing to do with pleasure. Dopamine is the molecule of desire. It is the molecule of anticipation. In the 1950s, scientists conducted an experiment that changed everything. They attached electrodes to the brains of rats. When a light turned on, the rat had to press a lever to get food. Logic would suggest that the peak of dopamine, the peak of pleasure, occurred when the rat ate the food. Right? No. Instruments showed that the maximum release of dopamine occurred the moment the light turned on. As soon as the rat received the food, dopamine levels dropped. Understand what this means for your wallet. Your brain does not reward you for possessing the item. It rewards you for hunting it. When you scroll through Amazon or Instagram, to your brain, you are a hunter tracking a trail. Every beautiful picture, every discount, that is the scent of prey. Dopamine levels rise. You add the item to the cart, tension builds. You enter your card details. Dopamine is at its peak. You hit place order. Boom! There it is, the climatic moment. The brain says, great job, we killed the mammoth. But what happens a second later? The task is complete. The prey is caught, the order is placed. The biological goal is achieved. The brain abruptly shuts off the dopamine tap. That is why unboxing a package often feels so bland. You have the thing in your hands, but the chemical fuel is gone. You got what you wanted, but you lost what you were feeling. Science clearly distinguishes between two brain systems, the liking system and the wanting system. The wanting system runs on dopamine. It is aggressive, loud, and persistent. It screams, buy this new iPhone and your life will change. The liking system runs on opioids and endorphins. It is quiet. It is responsible for the actual pleasure of use. The tragedy of the modern consumer is that these systems can work independently of each other. You can insanely want something that you will not like at all when you get it. Marketing targets the wanting system specifically. They don't care if you'll be happy with the new sofa. They only care about igniting your hunting instinct so you press the button. This isn't just theory. It is a biological vulnerability, a hole in your mind's defenses. And you know who knows about this vulnerability best? The people who design online stores. They aren't just selling products. They are building mazes from which it is impossible to leave without buying. Have you ever noticed that in any supermarket, whether it's Walmart or Whole Foods, bread and milk are always in the farthest corner of the store? This isn't logistics. This is a trap. To buy essentials, you are forced to walk through a maze of shelves with chips, soda, and sale items. This is called the Gruen Effect, named after architect Victor Gruen, who designed the first shopping malls. The goal is simple: disorient you. Make you forget why you came and switch your brain into automatic novelty scanning mode. But physical stores are the last century. In the digital world, choice architects have gone much further. The main enemy of any sale is friction. Friction is any second of delay between your desire and payment. It is the need to get off the couch to get your wallet. It is the need to type in a card number. It is the order confirmation page. Every such second gives your rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, a chance to intervene and say, hey, do we really need this inflatable kayak at 3 a.m.? Jeff Bezos and Amazon became trillionaires not because they sold the best books, but because they declared total war on friction. In 1999, Amazon patented one-click buying. Think about that. They patented a button. Apple even paid them licensing royalties to use this technology in iTunes. Why is this button worth billions? Because it removes the barrier between the dopamine spike and the money deduction. It allows an impulse to turn into a transaction faster than logic can kick in. And here we come to the scariest part. If you walk into a casino in Las Vegas, you will notice two things. There are no clocks, and there are no windows. Casino owners do everything to make you lose track of time and connection with reality. Amazon and Instagram do the same thing. Infinite scroll. No running total of spending in front of your eyes until you go to the cart. Recommended for you. All of this is the digital version of a casino with no windows or doors. They remove the exit sign from your field of view. But while a casino just wants you to play, retailers want to predict the future. There is a famous story about Target. Their analytics department created an algorithm that could determine a customer's pregnancy based on their purchases. If a girl suddenly started buying unscented lotions and certain types of vitamins, the system assigned her a pregnancy index. One day, an angry father came to a Target store and demanded a manager. "You are sending my high school daughter coupons for cribs and diapers. Are you encouraging teen pregnancy?" The manager apologized. A week later, the father called and apologized himself. It turned out his daughter really was pregnant. The store knew about it before her own father did. They know your habits. They know your weaknesses. They know when you get your paycheck and when you are depressed. And in the moment of your maximum vulnerability, they slip you the perfect solution in one click. But even with the perfect architecture of choice, one last barrier remains: the pain of parting with money. And unfortunately for us, banks found a way to turn that off too. Imagine you are lying inside an MRI scanner. Your head is fixed. Magnets are humming around you. Scientists are showing you products and prices on a screen. At this moment, they are observing your brain activity, and what they saw completely overturned the understanding of economics. When a person sees a price and prepares to hand over cash, a region of the brain called the insula activates. Do you know what else this region is responsible for? Physical pain. When you stub your pinky toe on a chair leg, the insula works. When you see disgusting food, it works. And when you take a $100 bill out of your wallet and hand it to a cashier, your brain literally experiences microtrauma. Pain. This is an ancient defense mechanism. Parting with a resource must be painful so we don't squander our reserves. But banks understood this before scientists did, and they found a way to turn this pain off. The credit card is the perfect anesthesia. When you swipe a piece of plastic, the insula stays silent. There is no pain. Your brain does not register the loss of resources in real time. Researchers from MIT conducted an experiment. They set up an auction for basketball tickets. One group was allowed to pay only in cash, the other only with cards. The result? People with credit cards were willing to pay, on average, twice as much for the exact same seats. Twice as much. Simply because plastic doesn't feel like real money. Think about a casino. Why do you think they force you to exchange money for colored plastic chips? It's an extra operation, extra staff at the cashier. Why? Because betting $100 in cash on red is scary. Your hand will tremble. But tossing a red plastic circle onto the felt is easy. It's a game. The banking system has turned our entire life into a casino. First, cards removed the physical sensation of money. Then contactless payment removed even the need to enter a PIN. Now Apple Pay and Google Pay have reduced the spending process to a gentle vibration on your wrist. We have reached the point of absurdity. Spending money has become physically more pleasant than not spending it. And to finally finish off your vigilance, they came up with a genius trick: cashback and miles. This is the carrot in front of the donkey. Spend more to earn points. The rational part of the brain says, "I'm getting 2% back. I'm a finance genius." But the irrational part, devoid of the pain of paying, spends 20 to 30% more than planned. You are not beating the bank by collecting miles. You are paying for those miles with your own overdraft interest. Now we have the full kit for disaster. An ancient brain demanding a reward. Stores that removed barriers, and payment systems that turned off the pain. But there is one more phenomenon, the most insidious of all. It explains why you can never stop at just one purchase. Let's transport ourselves to 1765. Denis Diderot is a famous French philosopher, creator of the Encyclopedia. Despite his fame, he was poor almost his entire life. His daughter was getting married and he had no money for a dowry. Upon hearing this, Empress Catherine the Great of Russia decided to help and bought his library for a huge sum. Suddenly, Diderot was rich, and here begins the story that entered sociology textbooks. With his first money, Diderot decided to give himself a gift. He bought a luxurious scarlet robe. It was magnificent, so magnificent that when the philosopher put it on and sat at his old desk in his old room, he felt discomfort. The robe was too good. Against its backdrop, the old straw chair looked wretched. The dirty rug seemed even dirtier. The entire interior screamed of mismatch. Diderot decided to fix the situation. He replaced the straw chair with a leather armchair. Now the armchair and robe looked great, but the old desk became an eyesore. He bought a new expensive desk. Then he changed the rug to a damask one, hung engravings on the walls, installed a beautiful mirror. In the end, Diderot looked around. His humble, cozy study had vanished. Now he sat in a museum that matched his robe, but his money was gone, and he was in debt again. In his essay, Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown, he wrote a phrase that became a verdict for us all. I was the absolute master of my old dressing gown, but I have become a slave to my new one. Anthropologists call this the Diderot Effect. The essence is simple. The introduction of one new item into your life that is higher in status than the others creates a spiral of consumption. The new thing makes everything old look worse. It disrupts harmony. You know this feeling. You buy a new sofa at IKEA, you bring it home, put it in the living room, and suddenly you realize, against the background of this sofa, your wallpaper looks yellow and old, and the curtains don't match the color at all. A month later, you are redecorating and changing the floor, although you initially just wanted to buy a sofa. Or take technology. You buy a new iPhone, but your old wired headphones don't fit it. You need AirPods. And to unlock the potential of the ecosystem, you need an Apple Watch, and of course, a new MagSafe case. One purchase becomes the trigger for a whole chain of transactions. Marketers love the Diderot effect. They don't sell you products. They sell you incomplete sets. They create disharmony in your life that can only be resolved by the next purchase. We try to create a unified, coherent picture of ourselves. A person who wears such a robe must sit in such a chair. We strive for unity of image. And that is where the main trap lies. Buying things, we are actually trying to buy a new personality. We are building sets for a play in which we want to play the main role. But this production costs us too much. In America, there is an old idiom, keeping up with the Joneses. Previously, this meant that if your neighbor Jones bought a new Ford, you also needed to update your car so as not to look like a loser. But the scale of this tragedy was limited to your street. You compared yourself to your neighbor, a colleague, and maybe a cousin from another state. The internet destroyed these boundaries. Today, you are not competing with John Jones from across the street. You are competing with the best moments from the lives of 7 billion people. You open Instagram and see ideal vacations, ideal bodies, and ideal renovations. Your brain doesn't understand that these are carefully selected, retouched shots. It sees a pack that is more successful than you. And an ancient fear kicks in, the fear of being expelled from the tribe for non-compliance. Marketers know this. That's why they stopped selling us product functions. They started selling us identity. Think about why you bought that treadmill that now serves as a clothes hanger in the bedroom? Or that French learning kit? Or those complex kitchen gadgets? You weren't buying plastic and metal. You were buying the best version of yourself. In the moment of paying for the treadmill, you weren't thinking about sweat, pain, and early mornings. You were buying a fantasy. In this fantasy, you are a sporty, fit person who easily runs a marathon. You were paying for this image, not for the machine. This is called buying hope. Dopamine hits the head because the brain believes, as soon as the transaction goes through, I will become this person. I will become an athlete. I will become a chef. I will become an intellectual. But when the box is unpacked, fantasy collides with reality. The treadmill requires effort. Books require time. And the new self doesn't come included with the receipt. We surround ourselves with totems of the success we want to achieve, hoping that through osmosis, these things will change us. We spend money to silence the voice whispering that we are not good enough. It is an endless race. The finish line does not exist. As soon as you reach the level that seemed like the ultimate dream, the horizon moves away. Now you need a watch not for $500, but for $5,000. Not a Toyota, but a Porsche. This is called hedonic adaptation. We get used to good things frighteningly fast. What caused delight yesterday becomes the norm today, and old junk tomorrow. We buy things we don't need, with money we don't have, to impress people who don't care about us. This is the brutal truth. No one cares about your watch or car. People don't look at you with admiration. They look at your car and think about how they would look in it. They are busy with their own narcissism, just like you. We build a prison out of things, thinking it is a palace. And the scariest part is not that we clutter our homes. The scariest part is what we pay for this junk. We think we pay with dollars. But actually, the currency is quite different. Let's forget about neurobiology for a minute and talk in my language. The language of Wall Street numbers. Numbers don't lie. And they paint a picture of total disaster. Total U.S. household debt has smashed through the historic ceiling of $17 trillion. Americans owe banks over $1 trillion on credit cards alone. But $1 trillion is an abstraction. The human brain cannot imagine such a sum. Let's come down to the level of your life. The great American philosopher Henry David Thoreau said a phrase that should be tattooed on the inside of your eyelid. The cost of a thing is the amount of what I will call life which is required to be exchanged for it. Let's calculate the real cost of your new iPhone Pro Max. The price tag says $1,200. You earned, say, $30 an hour. Simple math suggests that's 40 hours of work. One work week. Sounds not too bad, right? Wrong. That is poor man's math. From your $30, the government takes taxes. That leaves, say, $24. But that's not all. To earn that money, you need to live. You need to pay for rent or mortgage, buy food, gas, pay for insurance. These are your fixed costs. Costs of survival. Let's say after all mandatory expenses, you have $5 of free money left per hour. This is your real financial efficiency. Now divide $1,200 by 5. That comes to 240 hours. That is not 1 week. That is 6 weeks of your life. For a month and a half, you wake up to an alarm, sit in traffic, tolerate a boss, and sit in a stuffy office just to buy a phone. You are exchanging a month and a half of your unique, finite life for a piece of glass and silicone that will be obsolete in a year. But that is the optimistic scenario. The scenario where you pay cash. If you use a credit card and pay only the minimum payment, welcome to the hell of compound interest. Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Banks understand this perfectly. Imagine you bought that same phone on credit at 20% APR and make minimum payments. You will be paying for it for years. The final price of the phone will grow 2 or even 3 times. By the time you finally pay off the debt, that phone will already be in a landfill or gathering dust in a drawer. You will continue to pay for trash. You will be giving away hours of your life in the future for a pleasure that lasted 5 minutes in the past. In the banking environment, we have a cynical term for people who pay off their credit cards in full every month. We call them deadbeats. You can't make money off them. The ideal client for a bank is a revolver, one who is always on the hook, one who is forever paying interest. The system is built to keep you in the rat race. You aren't running toward a goal. You are running just to stay in place. Debt doesn't steal money from you. Debt steals choice. You can't quit a hated job because you have debt. You can't start your own business because you have debt. You can't travel because you have debt. Your things own you. Every unnecessary purchase is another bar in the grate of your cage. The situation seems hopeless. The whole world, from your brain to the banking system, is rigged against you. But there is a way out. And it doesn't require burning credit cards or joining a monastery. It requires implementing one simple protocol. Good news, you don't need to change your biology. You just need to change the protocol of interacting with it. We found out that marketing works at the speed of light. Impulse to click to payment. The whole process takes seconds, so your rational prefrontal cortex doesn't have time to wake up. Your task is to artificially slow down time. You need a weapon against the desire system. And this weapon is called the 72-hour rule. It works ridiculously simply. When you see a thing you must buy right now, you tell yourself, okay, I will buy this, but not now. I give myself permission to buy this exactly 72 hours from now. You can add the item to the cart. This will calm your inner hunter. Prey caught. But you close the tab. You walk out of the store. What happens in these 3 days? This is the half-life period of the dopamine high. The chemical storm in your brain begins to subside. The fog clears, the wanting system shuts down, and control returns to logic. Statistics show 90% of things that seemed vitally necessary in the moment of impulse, after 72 hours, elicit the reaction. Why did I even need that? You will even forget what was lying in your cart. Second step, friction injection. Amazon spent billions to remove friction. You must put it back. Right now, do this. Remove credit card details from your browser. Delete the Amazon app from your phone. Unsubscribe from all store newsletters. Make it so that to buy, you have to get up, find your wallet, and type in 16 digits manually. These extra 60 seconds are your line of defense. This time is enough to ask yourself, am I just high on dopamine right now, or do I really need this juicer? Third tool, the stranger test. This is my favorite mental trick. Imagine a stranger is standing in front of you. In one hand, he holds that new gadget for $500. In the other hand, $500 cash. He offers you a choice. Take the item or take the money. If you choose the item without hesitation, buy it. It means you really need it. But in 9 out of 10 cases, you will mentally choose the money. You'll think, for $500, I'd rather go out of town for the weekend or invest it. This test instantly shows the true value of the product to you, stripped of marketing husks. And finally, fourth, HALT. In addiction psychology, there is an acronym, HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. We often buy things not because we need things, but because we are trying to close an emotional hole. We are sad, we buy, we are bored, we scroll. Next time your hand reaches for the buy button, run a diagnostic. Maybe you don't need a new sweater. Maybe you need to sleep, eat a sandwich, or call a friend. Purchasing is the brain's attempt to quickly change your internal state. But it's a band-aid on a fracture. It doesn't work. Applying these rules, you will notice an amazing thing. Your bank account will start to grow, debts will start to melt. But the main change will happen in your head. Silence. The noise of endless wants will subside. You will start to notice that you already have everything necessary for a normal life. You will exit the rat race. And this brings us to the most important question. If happiness cannot be bought, and if a new car won't make us better, then what actually matters? Right now, look away from the screen and look around. What do you see? Most likely, you see the results of hundreds of small dopamine explosions. Clothes you wore twice, gadgets that are obsolete, souvenirs that are just gathering dust. Each of these things was once the one. Each promised to make you happier, and each of them lied. I spent many years on Wall Street. I saw people with tens of millions of dollars who were miserable because their neighbor earned 11. And I saw people with modest incomes who were absolutely serene. The main secret of finance, which won't be written in credit card ads, sounds like this. True wealth is not what you buy. It is what you don't buy. Wealth is not cars and houses. Wealth is invisible matter. It is money left in the account. It is stocks growing while you sleep. It is a safety cushion that allows you to sleep peacefully. Morgan Housel, author of The Psychology of Money, said a brilliant thing. The highest dividend money pays is the ability to control your time. When you spend money on impulsive purchases, you give away control. You become a slave to the past. You are obligated to work to pay for what you have already consumed. When you save money, you buy the future. You buy the right to say no to a boss you don't like. You buy the ability to go on vacation when you want. You buy freedom from anxiety. In a world that screams, buy, consume, conform, the most radical act of rebellion is to remain content with what you already have. This doesn't mean you have to live like an ascetic and sleep on the floor. It means you must take back the remote control to your brain. You must stop being a rat pressing a lever waiting for food. You are the architect of your life. Next time you feel that itch, that desire to buy something right now, remember what is happening in your head. Remember the reward prediction error. Remember the 72-hour rule, and take a deep breath. Feel the power in simply closing the browser tab. Feel the money staying in your account, making you stronger, not weaker. Your brain is wired to be broke, but now you have the access codes to rewrite that program. The choice is yours. Remain the perfect consumer or become a free human being. Thanks for watching.